Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talk Some More, and it's a lockdown news roundup of sorts. We'll talk about various things. It's a Sunday, so let's take a look at these toxic, poisonous tabloid newspaper headlines. Mainstream media seems to be the biggest problem we have. The government without the media is a toothless beast, and these newspapers and their headlines are the purest form of propaganda that is pushed out to the masses. That, and of course the television, which is more powerful certainly, but these headlines can give you an idea of where it is all heading, and especially on a Sunday, as I believe that is the day when they get the biggest sales. So it's the most opportunist day for propaganda, the biggest opportunity for them to influence the masses. Here we have the Daily Mail with, well, look at the top of it now, 500,000 scratch and spin. And your regular gormless model woman with her mouth open, with cash in her hand, promoting the concept of money equals happiness. No, it doesn't, and that money for nothing is good. Anyway, the main story here is the alpaca story. It's about an alpaca called Geronimo that has got bovine TB. It was sentenced to death by a High Court judge last month, but the owner disputes the test results, and there's been this big hoo-ha over this in the media. And I would say it's an artificial hoo-ha, making out how the public want to save the alpaca. And there's a petition of 90,000 people who have said, please save the animal. But the government now are saying, no. Look, we know it's soul destroying, but the alpaca, he has to die because he will infect all the other animals. So yeah, I mean, when was the last time you saw a news story like this as a headline in a newspaper? This, I believe, is part of conditioning the public with the concept, the idea of animals having to be put down if they are tested positive for something that they can then spread. I mean, there's been many scientific reports coming out over the last few months about dogs and cats and the virus. There's even some form of jab for pets being made by one of the companies. So yeah, being the highly suspicious type. I mean, I'm not saying this story is not true, but it's the headline. It's a headline in a newspaper, and it's being played upon in order to condition the public into the idea of a lovable animal being put down if tested positive for something that they could then spread. Next up, we have the Sunday People, and we have this celebrity crap. Ant has got married. Oh, bless, it's so romantic. Who gives a feckin' stuff? It was only a couple of years ago. This clown crashed into two cars when he got off his head on booze or whatever. One of those cars had a 9-year-old child in it. And going by the court papers, they were lucky to not be killed by this pampered, celebrity spoiled idiot. But hey, all is forgotten now. Now he is on 80% of the front newspapers this morning, must be in the Peekaboo Club. Amazing how some celebrities are forgiven, isn't it? Then underneath that we have get winter flu tests, and this is also the continued conditioning of the public to make them all hypochondriacs. So they want now to launch home flu test kits as well. This is for the flu that seemed to vanish from the face of the earth last year. Yet they are convinced it's going to come back with a vengeance this year. So much so, they want to introduce home flu test kits. And if we look at all the images shown in the articles related to this, the majority of photographs show young people. I mean, it's always been associated with older people, the flu, like the flu jabs. But now this is being pushed to all and sundry. Next, we have the Sunday Mirror. And there he is again. Ant, I'm a celeb weddy. And what's the headline here? Now Rabbi avoids travel rules and he meets Princess Anne with no mask just 2 days after return from Paris, blah, 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 blah. And this again, look, this isn't a news story. Every time you see a story about a celebrity or a politician, in this case, when they say, oh look, he's not followed the rules that they have set out, what a hypocrite he is. What they are attempting to do is to get you, the public, to join in and also point at him and remark and say, oh look, he's not following the rules, he's a hypocrite. Yet while you're doing that, you are actually unwittingly reinforcing the concept of those rules and regulations. You're unwittingly admitting that these rules should be obeyed. This is a reverse psychological trick to get people to adhere to regulations that they don't agree with. You would be better off to have the attitude of, good, the rules are shite, I'm not following them, and good luck to him for not following them as well, even if he is a robot puppet tyrant with no soul. Don't reinforce their rules by joining in, slagging famous people off for not following these regulations. They've been pulling this trick for years now. Then we have the Sunday Times with more threatening messages about universities and students and how unions are demanding jabs, etc. It's all nonsense. They cannot bring that into law. It goes against human rights. But they can imply it. But more interestingly, if we look at the bottom of the front page, we see Geronimo, the alpaca again. Geronimo won't go quietly, it says. I'll film him getting put down, says the owner of the alpaca. She's gonna film it. Film the animal getting put down. Why would you do that? Like I said before, this is conditioning people to get used to the concept of putting down animals that have tested positive. And what better way to drive that concept home by having this woman now filming the animal getting put down? Then we have this absolute garbage. I mean, this is your pure bread and circuses trash. Once again, we have, oh look again, Ant and his wedding joy. And then we've got Love Island. I mean, if you're consumed by this, with everything that is happening in the world, you're under a deep level of mind control, okay? And of course we have the football and a chance of free money for nothing. Then we have the Sunday Telegraph. PM's push for net zero plunged into chaos. Something about fears over families footing the bill for green agenda. Huh? Doesn't the public, through their taxes, foot the bleeding bill for everything? Yes, they do. People need to remember that everything that is happening, all of these policies, all of these acts are being paid for by you. People need to remember that the government are there to serve them, not the other way round. And then more Green Deal propaganda in The Observer. It says here, we are on the brink of catastrophe, warns Tory climate chief, who reckons the world will soon face catastrophe from climate breakdown if urgent action is not taken, the British president of vital UN climate talks has warned. Again, we're seeing more and more talk about this, not because there is a catastrophe coming soon from climate change, but they want to morph the current situation into a climate change situation. That's why we have sayings like zero COVID, but we've also got zero carbon. That's why we have lockdowns, and now they're talking about climate, environmental lockdowns. We have people being limited getting onto planes for all sorts of reasons now, and going by their carbon zero plans, they don't really want anyone flying at all in the next 10 years. Like they don't want people driving petrol cars and eating meat, etc., etc. So that's why those headlines are appearing. It's not the news. None of this is the news. It's all programming. It's all conditioning you to accept things before they happen so that you're more likely to just go along with it or are not too shocked by it, so that you don't react overly negative, as a great number of people responding in an overly negative manner can be a problem. Anyhow, this is the way I look at these newspapers and headlines. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to the tribe at hugotalks.com, a place for like-minded souls who don't follow the herd.